Demi is a character that has really grown on me throughout the series of Overlord, and I've really got to admit, in the first season and in the start of the light novel series, I was not a particular big fan of Demi. He kind of was a bit weird for me. I just didn't really get, the good vibes from him. But to my surprise, as the light novels have come out, and season 2 and 3 of Overlord, he has very much grown on me. I very much enjoy seeing him grow as a character. I enjoy seeing a lot of his raw power, his intellectual wit, and just his motivation to constantly improve and better himself due to his inspiredness from Ainz himself. It's just always fun to kind of see that sense of growth when you see someone that's, above them and seeing them do so well, and then you yourself are always trying to aim to impress. That is something that I really see in Demi. Demi is always trying to kind of prove that he is worthy. He can, really show himself to the moment of, hey, I'm here for your best interest. And I mean, Demi really goes out of his way to try and do everything and anything that Ainz wants, and sometimes up and beyond. And that is one of those kind of fun moments that has always been shown in season 1 and in the first volume of Overlord. When Ainz jokingly said about conquering the world, Demi took that on board and has gone throughout seasons 1, 2, and 3 and the light novel constantly determined to take over the world for Ainz. And that's the thing, even though Ainz was joking, Demi takes it seriously. He does everything and anything he can to make Ainz happy. And I mean, putting that aside, Demi as a character is very intelligent, and the only other two guardians that can really keep up with his intelligence is Albedo and Pandora's actor. And on top of that, he's not just an intelligent character, he is also a very strong character. He's not the strongest floor guardian, but he definitely possesses a lot of high intellect, high power, and it very much shows, especially with the fact that he has an immunity to fire element. He's just a very versatile character with a lot of intelligence and a lot of power, but not over the top strong. I would say in comparison, Albedo would be stronger in power, but a little bit lower in intelligence, while Pandora's actor is a little bit less in power, but a lot more in intelligence. Demi is kind of that bit of a mix when it comes to those two. And with the fact that also Demi has, 10 points in Imp and 5 points in Arc Devil when it comes to racial levels, he's definitely got that interest in transformation as well, especially with the fact that he has 10 points in shape-shifting for his job level. The other thing that also kind of fun to look at is the fact that he also has 10 points in the Prince of Darkness, and I kind of look forward to seeing what that kind of plays out for him. It kind of feels like a bit of a reference to Ozzy Osbourne, and I love that kind of little bit of a spin to him as well, because he's got that very professional look on him with the glasses and the nice clean suit and everything. He is like the ultimate evil businessman that is planning to take over the world, and it's just a fun look on him. And it does show a bit of a sort of representation of his master as well. His master, or his creator, definitely sort of shows a lot of those similar characteristics. His creator does not get along with Touch Me, which is a similar kind of thing, because Touch Me is the creator of Sebas, and of course Demi and Sebas don't get along, which is something that is mirrored between, of course, their creators, and you can definitely see a lot of this interesting sort of back and forth going on with Demi. But when it just comes to Demi's personality, I just love the kind of core values that Demi has. Demi is always trying to do something to better himself, always trying to push for Ainz's overall best interest, and he is very caring towards Ainz as well, especially shown in season 1 when Ainz is going up against Shaltier. You can definitely see a lot of concern in him. He's very worried about losing the only last sort of master of the tomb, and he even looks out for the kind of the overall vision of having an heir to the throne and hoping that Ainz will, find someone to continue his heir, if you get the hint, nudge nudge. And of course there's always that fun tug of war of who's it going to be, Albedo or Shaltier. That's again another debate for a different time. But just seeing Demi kind of constantly push, and I mean, the real fun part is the fact that yes, he is trying to conquer the world for Ainz, and the other fun part is his creator is the one that also said it jokingly way back when they were all first created. And I feel like this is something that's just stemmed forward. His creator jokingly talked about conquering the world, Ainz jokingly talks about it in, the first volume, and now of course Demi is the major pushing factor of getting Ainz to be more proactive when it comes to conquering the world itself. And I am just very interested to see where Demi goes as a character. There is definitely a lot of growing, a lot of interesting things that can go on with him. Another also angle to look at is the fact that Demi as a character has grown, but another thing that's kind of held him back is also his, I would say, sometimes he doesn't want to look outside the box when it comes to Ainz and Ainz's perfectionist, and how everyone in the tomb sees Ainz as this perfect individual that cannot make a mistake. And this is something that is shown throughout the series as well, is that Ainz is trying to teach the other Guardians, and especially Demi and Albedo, that what happens if Ainz is not there, they need to be forward thinking and be able to think outside the box and be able to make educated and intelligent decisions for the greater good of the tomb, their best interest, as well as Ainz as a whole. Even though, yes, Ainz is trying to sort of hint to them that maybe one day Ainz might make a mistake, though of course he has, and it's more just a game of winging it, they don't see Ainz as making mistakes, and that's one of their flawed kind of characteristics, is that they're not willing to see Ainz as anything lesser than perfect. And that is something that's always kind of been a bit of a tug of war with Demi and Ainz. Is Ainz trying to get Demi to think outside the box and say, hey, if I make a mistake, you need to be able to think on your feet? And that is something I look forward to seeing growing with Demi, and I'm just very interested again to see where he goes, what he's willing to show, just how much he's willing to improve upon himself and learn and grow as a character to just impress Ainz. And it's always a fun sort of thing to look at. And I'm just fascinated to see what direction Demi takes when it comes to his improvements. He's always sort of aspiring to become better and always trying to impress Ainz as an overall sort of aspiration and goal. And the last thing that I wanted to touch up on was the difference in the intelligence between Demi, Albedo, and Pandora's actor, because each of them have their own specialization when it comes to their sort of area of expertise in intelligence. And Demi is definitely a character that specializes in not just sort of negotiations with his raw power in sort of dominating those that are a weaker level, but he has a lot of military tactics. But because he's got that power and ability to be able to sort of dominate those under him, while he's also got the intelligence to give orders and be military tactics wise, this makes him really good at the front line of defense when it comes to the Great Tomb and the interest, because he's able to command a large amount of soldiers at the front line. While Pandora's actor, yes, has some great military tactics, he's very smart, but he is more suited for the back end of things where he's more safer. Demi is very powerful as a character in raw power, while also being very smart, while Pandora's actor is, yes, strong as a character, but more in intelligence and less in strength, which suits him more on the back end. And this is just personal opinion based on sort of seeing their stats and analyzing just how they interact in the light novel and the anime. But another thing to also note, lastly, is Albedo. She is a very smart character, but she's more designed for administrations when it comes to managing, guild stuff, paperwork, making sure things work sort of in a more tight fit area when it comes to managing allies and assets. And that's why Ainz put her as a governor in the later light novels that you'll discover at a later date, and why she becomes a governor, that is very much explained because, again, she's got a high amount of sort of micromanagement skills that comes from her great intelligence. So none of the characters between these three are, better or worse directly in just raw power, but they all have their own strengths and weaknesses, and they all sort of work together in this sort of perfect synergy when it comes to micromanaging the Great Tomb, because each one of them specializes in a very specific area, and that is something that I see that the creators did deliberately, so that if there was a time that they needed these NPCs to do stuff, it was done in a really smart way that one could manage one area, another could manage another, and another could manage, another area altogether, and so they would all synergize in a perfect harmony for the guild as a whole. And this is something that is carried on in the anime and the light novel going forward. You can definitely see them being very good at their specific areas, and that is something that I look forward to seeing grow in the light novels and the anime to come. But lastly, I throw the question off to you, the fans of Overlord. What do you think of Demi? What do you like? What do you not like about him? Who are your favorite floor guardians? And lastly, I also just want to note, for those that are interested, I will be doing a second video on Demi that will be diving into a lot more spoiler territory. It will be diving a lot more into the nitty gritties of his stuff. So if you don't find too much sort of new information in this video, you will definitely find a lot of probably more deeper stuff for those big hardcore Overlord fans. But I felt this video was needed to kind of give the very basics of what he's about, what his overall aspirations, dreams, motivations, just everything about him in the basic sense and personality. And then in the second video, dive really deep into, you know, his character power, his abilities, his strengths, his weaknesses when it comes to combat, and also his raw power when it comes to just how willing he is to go to do some really horrible stuff. And that is something that we'll definitely get into spoiler territory in the next video. So those that are into spoilers, definitely look forward to the next video. For those, this might not be the video for you. It might be a lot of repeating. Again, this is just a basic sort of introduction to Demi as a character. But again, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more anime content, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.